Hello! In this video, we'll talk about a philosopher that might be unfamiliar to many. And his name is Friedrich Nietzsche. But before we begin this video, it's brought to you by Rahma, Shaira and Zafran. The 5 main topic of discussion in the video would be the simple biography of Nietzsche and how his background influenced the development of his theory, the description and implication of his theory, the strength and weakness of Nietzsche's theory. Wait, how do I pronounce his name? The correct pronunciation of Nietzsche is Nietzsche. And now we can begin the video about Nietzsche. Biography of Friedrich Nietzsche. He was born on October 15, 1844 in Rockenbay-Lutzen, a small village in Prussia. His father, Karl Ludwig Nietzsche, was a Lutheran preacher. He died when Nietzsche was 4 years old. Nietzsche and his younger sister, Elizabeth, were raised by their mother, Franziska. Nietzsche attended a private preparatory school in Naumburg and then received a classical education at the prestigious Kopfhorter School. After that, he transferred to the University of Leipzig where he studied philology. He was strongly influenced by the writings of philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer. Next is his teachings and writings in the 1870s. In 1896, Nietzsche took a position as a professor of classical philology at University of Basel. During his professorship, he published his first book, which is The Birth of Tragedy and Human, All Too Human. He also began to distance himself from the classical scholarship as well as the teachings of Schopenhauer and take more interest in the values underlying modern-day civilization. He suffered from a nervous disorder, so he resigned from his post at Basel at 1879. Next is his literary and philosophical work in the 1880s. For much of the following decade, Nietzsche lived in seclusion, moving from Switzerland to France to Italy when he was not staying at his mother's house in Naumburg. However, this was also a highly productive period for him as a thinker and a writer. His works during this time are Das Buch Zarathustra, Beyond Good and Evil, The Genealogy of Morals, and Twilight of the Idols. In these works, Nietzsche developed the central points of his philosophy. One of his famous statements is, God is dead.
Nietzsche's theories and the application for his theories. One of Nietzsche's theories is called amor fati, which means love of fate. Rooted in the wisdom of the Stoic mindset, Nietzsche described his formula for human greatness as amor fati. An excerpt in the Gay Science, Nietzsche wrote, "I want to learn more and more to see as beautiful what is necessary in things. Then I shall be one of those who make things beautiful. Amor fati. Let that be my love henceforth." Love of fate is a concept when you feel like the power that you can have in life of accepting your fate is so strong that it's difficult to understand. You feel that everything happens for a reason, and that it's your choice to make this purpose something positive and active. So how do we apply this to our daily lives? At the height of the mood of amor fati, we recognize that there are things that happen that we are powerless to change at our own will, and that we must only accept it. There are things that have gone bad that we never wanted to happen in the first place, but to think that what good might come out of the unchosen experience. We should embrace all of it instead of wishing for it to be any different, as it is the only option. The next 2 videos will be an explanation of the will to power theory and the Übermensch theory.
So the next theory that I would like to talk about is will to power. So in German, this is the Will zu Macht. So this concept actually refers to the overall dynamics of our instincts. And in his book, The Gay Science, Nietzsche begins to be more explicit, and also in his other book, called Das Buch Zarathustra, he begins to use the expression will to power. So the term power is constitutive of entities that denote some kind of mysterious force that permeates independently existing things. So the will to power is the will to dominate or to power to have over another. In aphorism 13 of the Gay Science, which is entitled The Theory of the Sense of Power, Nietzsche contended that we exercise power over other people both by benefiting them and by hurting them. So when we hurt someone, we make them feel our power in a crude yet dangerous way because they may seek to revenge themselves. So Nietzsche argues that causing pain is generally less pleasant than showing kindness, and even suggests that cruelty, because it is the inferior option, is a sign that one lacks power. So in conclusion, the will of power describes the conquering of another person, of people, and the domination of animals of humankind. How do we apply will to power in our daily lives? So actually the will to power, you can apply it to yourself in the sense that to achieve dominance for yourself, you shouldn't succumb to things that are harmful to life. So this actually requires wisdom and courage in the practitioner. So whoever that wants to practice willpower, it needs wisdom and courage and can be used to carry out many atrocities on both parties, either yourself or others. This next concept by Friedrich Nietzsche is one of the most significant concepts in Nietzsche's thinking, and was coined in 1883 in his book Thus Spoke Zarathustra. So it's called Übermensch, which translates to Superman or Overman. So Nietzsche pointed out that evolution cannot be assumed to finish. For example, human beings are evolved from apes, and we are by far more superior than apes. So how might people in the future be superior than who we are today? So in his book, Nietzsche theorizes how the more advanced person of tomorrow will be like, and he believes that a Superman will have wonderful but also unexpected qualities. In Nietzsche's book, he suggested that a Superman would be the one who is willing to risk all for the sake of the enhancement of humanity. And a Superman is someone who is able to establish his own values as a world in which others live their lives, and will be independently minded, is able to strategically be selfish, and will never be resentful towards the success of others. In a sense, the Superman is all about self-overcoming. This involves an attitude towards life when one may feel like life is meaningless. Someone who is able to establish their own values in which others live their life, which means that they are self-overcoming themselves. How do we apply Übermensch in our life? Well, basically, you can start by getting to know yourself as a personal growth and getting to know what drives you have, what potentials you lack or own, and even setting goals for yourself as the most basic level of growth. You can also evaluate what things you really value and what things do you say because of society's pressure. So this helps us to refine our own ambitions by being the super versions of ourselves. To organize yourself is really to overcome all of your other drives, which are also part of yourself.
Strength and weakness of Nietzsche's theory. Are there any weakness in Nietzsche's theory? Nietzsche's theory has many weaknesses, but the two most significant weaknesses are: firstly, he left it too much up to interpretation, which eventually led to the Nazi misusing his writings up to his death. And this is Nietzsche's reply. Next is Nietzsche's morality is founded on the critical questioning of all prior morality. So his own philosophy becomes a bit incoherent as he thinks that getting this new morality is worthwhile even if questioning the old morality leads to deeply immoral acts. Nietzsche's writings does not have many particular strengths that truly stands out from other famous philosophers. However, his writings has influenced many 20th century philosophers as his philosophies can be applied as psychological concepts. For example, Nietzsche introduced the concept of subconscious ideas, feelings, and drives by saying you cannot hope to know all about our mind all the time. His work has also influenced most of the famous psychologists that we know, such as Sigmund Freud, Carl Jung, Alfred Adler, and Carl Rogers. Finally is the summary. What have I learned from this video? We learned about Nietzsche's background and how his background has influenced him in his writings. Next, we learned about a few of his theories, which are the Superman theory, will to power, and love of fate. And finally, we learned that Nietzsche's theory has many weaknesses, but his theories made great contribution to the modern psychology. Congratulations, you have reached the end of the video. Thank you for tuning in. Bye.